Hey guys, it's Kara here, and it's the week of Thanksgiving, so I wanted to do a video and give you guys some tips and suggestions for how to have a successful Thanksgiving without, ruining your diet or feeling like you're ruining your progress. I think Thanksgiving is a pretty good holiday to kind of manipulate with the food. You've got your basic like meat, potato, vegetable. There's usually plenty of options there that are fairly healthy that you can make work. But I know not everyone feels that way. For me, growing up, Thanksgiving was a day where we literally sat around as a family and ate all day long. No joke, we had snacks on the table from the second we got up in the morning, and we just ate them till we were so full, and then we ate dinner, and then we ate more snacks. Literally with stuffed face all day long. So if the holiday is like that for you guys as well, I do understand. But I want you to know you can be successful still for Thanksgiving. So depending on how you have your Thanksgiving, if you're the one who's hosting Thanksgiving and you're having people come over, I think that's a little more easy to deal with because you are the one deciding on how things are cooked, what's being cooked, what you're making, and what you're putting out there for options. So if you're hosting, you definitely have much more control over the situation, and there are tons of good recipes out there for Thanksgiving ideas that are very healthy. Like I said, I think it can be a very healthy holiday between all the vegetables. You get complex carbs, you get protein, but you do get all the snacky dessert stuff, which I think can be a challenge. But there's plenty of options out there to make some healthier recipes. I do have a couple on my YouTube for a healthier pumpkin pie, pumpkin cake, pumpkin whoopie pies, you name it, for different desserts that you can make that are healthier options. You at least can have some dessert and not feel too guilty about it. If you're someone who is going to someone else's house, though, for Thanksgiving, I can get where that can be a little trickier because you're not exactly sure how things were prepared. You don't have total control over all the options that are being provided. In that scenario, what I'd suggest, if you're bringing something with you, which usually if you go over to someone's place for dinner, it's almost like you always bring a dish with you. It's kind of common courtesy to bring a dish. So I would suggest bringing something that you know is something you like, something that fits into your diet plan, and something you can snack on. Maybe it's a healthier appetizer or dessert, and then you have that there as like a guaranteed option. I'm like the classic girl that likes to bring a giant ass veggie tray with some low-fat dips, because if you have that veggie tray there, you can snack on it, crunch on it. It takes a long time to chew. A lot of good nutrition from a bunch of different vegetables. It's just kind of a nice go-to is having like a big veggie tray or a nice fruit platter with some low-fat dips. So that's kind of a good option to bring with you or to make and have at your own home if you're hosting Thanksgiving. I would suggest you kind of create a plan for Thanksgiving. So decide what your plan is going to be for the day. Don't go into that day not knowing, because that's when you'll just go overboard. Go into the day deciding what you're going to do. I personally don't feel like people should track on Thanksgiving if you're someone that follows, if it fits your macros. That's just my own personal opinion and my feelings about it. I feel like unless you're truly on competition prep, I feel like that should be a day that you're not tracking macros. I think everyone's allowed days where they don't have to look at their food as numbers. Like, you shouldn't have to look at your plate and say 25 protein, 50 carbs, how many. It's just, I think personally, and it's more normal to not do that. But again, that's my own opinion, and I know not everyone feels that way, and some people feel like they need to track in order to not get too far off the path. You know what I mean? So if you are that person, you know that about yourself, if that's what's going to keep you in line that day, then that's cool. Do it. Do what works for you. But have some type of plan that day for what you're thinking you're going to do. For me, I was going to do a refeed this past weekend or a free meal, and then I decided, you know what? With Thanksgiving coming up, I really want to treat that day as my refeed day. I don't plan on tracking necessarily. I'm not really sure. I don't think I will, but I want to make sure I hit my protein, and I think sometimes that can be hard on days that you don't track, at least for me personally. So go into the day with a plan. If you can fit in a refeed day or a free meal or however you're doing your diet right now, I think that's a good way of doing it. And like I said, I personally chose not to do it this weekend with Thanksgiving coming up. And for me, I'm cooking our Thanksgiving dinner, so it's real easy for me. I'm just going to make some alternative, healthier snacks and just choose a couple snacks. I'm not going to do like I did growing up where, my family had thousands of snacks all over the place, because I don't do well with that. I will just sit there and snack all day. It's kind of like that comfort, because it reminds me of growing up and being a kid. So try to kind of think about how you want to tackle the day. Think about what your triggers are. If you know, like I said, if you know not tracking is a trigger for you and mentally just puts you in that place where you're going to binge or just totally overeat, then maybe don't do that. Maybe kind of have some goals for yourself that day. A couple other things I want to say about Thanksgiving are, don't go into your Thanksgiving dinner. I know people do it different times of day. People eat it for lunch, people eat it for dinner. Don't starve yourself all day. That is probably the biggest mistake I find people make going into the holidays, and it usually backfires. It does not assist you with not gaining weight. It usually makes things worse. If you go into that day not eating anything, you become ravenous, and you might not think so. Some people's bodies, when you don't eat all morning, you kind of get used to it and you're good. But then the second you eat something and that insulin spikes, you're like, ooh, I'm hungry. And you start eating and you can't stop because you've been starving yourself all day. You've gotten yourself in that fasted state. So do not start your day out by skipping breakfast and not eating any snacks. Have a good hearty breakfast. Wake up, either eat what you normally eat or maybe even bump it up a little bit and eat a heftier breakfast, high in fiber, high in nutrients. Make sure you get a nice big breakfast in. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel guilty, even if you know you're going to indulge in pie and turkey and dinner rolls later. Who cares? You still need to eat. It does not balance out or negate the other if you skip a meal. Don't do that. That's setting yourself up for failure, and it's not good to do that to your body. Your body's metabolism, it confuses your body. If you're used to getting up and eating breakfast, you should get up and eat a good breakfast that day. The other thing I want to say too is, if you're able to and you're someone that likes to work out, normally works out, plan a workout that day. As you know, when you're working out, your body requires more calories. So most of us are going to eat more calories than we normally do on Thanksgiving. So if you can, plan a really good workout that day. If your gym's open, plan a day where you're doing some strong lifting. Maybe it's a leg day or deadlift day, or for me, I started doing this turkey trot that's local. It's a 6-mile race, and I'm going to go lift that morning, and then I'm going to go do the turkey trot, because it's kind of like a fun tradition I'm starting with my sister, that we go and do that together. So I still plan to get in my lifting and my cardio. So if you're able to do that and your local gyms are open, definitely plan out a good workout to get in there, get it done. You will feel better throughout the day. And we have a tendency when we work out first thing in the morning, that really does help us make better choices throughout the day. So if you're able to, plan an awesome workout for Thanksgiving morning, and then that'll help you with your eating choices throughout the day. A couple other suggestions for you guys when you are having Thanksgiving dinner. Maybe you kind of pick and choose what you're going to have. There's going to be a lot of carbohydrate-rich choices available. That tends to be what we consume, but maybe you go a little higher protein and do a little extra turkey to help fill you up. Fill up on veggies if there's a green salad available, like I said, a veggie tray, things like that. Try to fill up on that stuff, and then maybe make some choices within the carbohydrates, which you're going to take and not take. So for me, I love stuffing and I love mashed potatoes, but I'm going to choose one over the other. I don't really need both. I'm not a very big person, and so I can easily go overboard on both because I love them so much. So I'm going to just choose to do one over the other. So that's an option for you guys. I love dinner rolls and bread, but I eat it and it doesn't fill me up and I just want to eat more. So it ends up being kind of these wasted carbohydrates that I feel like do nothing for my satiety. So if you're that person, maybe you do. Maybe you choose to skip over the dinner rolls because you want to have both the mashed potatoes and the stuffing, and things like that. So try to fill most of your plate up if you can. Like, think about how your plate should look. Fill it up with a good portion of your protein, and make sure the majority of it is the vegetables. There's some good vegetable options available: squash, green beans, whatever you have. Maybe not the green bean casserole, it's pretty high in fat, but depending on what your options are, try to fill up the majority of your plate with veggies and protein, and then maybe you save your carbs, more for your dessert option. So there's tons of different things you can do. It's really just thinking about what the day is going to be like for you. If you're serving it, or if you're going elsewhere, maybe if you're going to someone else's place, you can kind of get an idea and ask them what things they'll be serving that day. Just say, I'd like to bring a dish, so I'm curious what you need or what you're planning on making that day. And that'll give you an idea of how to go about, going into that day and making some good choices. It's kind of just like going out to eat at a restaurant. If you're someone that tends to look up the menu ahead of time and scope things out and try to kind of plan what you're going to eat and look at the nutritionals, go into Thanksgiving doing the same approach. Overall, I think you guys should try to enjoy your day, but don't use it as an excuse to feel so stuffed that you got to unbutton the pants and throw on the sweatpants. Those feels, and it doesn't feel good. So just try to enjoy the day. It's pretty easy to make good choices that day and not feel like you're ruining your diet and like you're not gonna screw up your goals. So you'll feel much better about yourself when you wake up Friday morning knowing if you made some good choices. So just try to think about that. How do I want to feel tomorrow when I wake up? You don't want to wake up on Black Friday feeling guilty. So plan ahead of time, and I think you guys will be all right. So let me know if you have any questions below, and I will gladly answer them for you. I hope you guys all have a happy Thanksgiving and get to enjoy it with your friends and family and people you love. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and keep checking back. Eat whatever I want, what I deserve. That we've all done that. Or I earned this. I've been like recognizing the core and what hormonal craving. Affet balls to the wall. You could kind of work with those. What I try to do, I don't have a choice. And obviously feel like I do have a good amount of discipline, and I like to not, as you guys know, over it. So I do some Cara style, hence all the fun website and do for Tiger Fitness substitution. So my and I don't do this during prepping. This